Hi, it's your girl, Stacy Bullock, here with another episode of Tools for Everyday Living. We thank you all so much for joining us today. And as usual, I promise that we will always have a great show. We will always provide great tools. But one thing, we will never take you for granted, and we will always be grateful and thankful for this platform to share information that we believe is vital to the journey that we walk on called life. Today, we have a wonderful guest. I'm going to introduce her shortly, but I just want to give you a little small snippet about the conversation and how this came about. Well, I am a veteran of the United States Army. I served 18 years in the military. And yes, I said 18 and not 20 or above. I didn't get to retire because I was injured. And I had to abruptly end my career. But I'm so glad that I did have the opportunity to join the military when I did at the tender young age of 19. And it put me on a trajectory that I would not even imagined that I would be at this point today. And I just want to share with the world how the military has impacted my ability to grow and utilize this intestinal fortitude that we garnered while we were there. And that means that we just have to go on the inside and grab a hold of this strength that we didn't even sometimes realize that we had. But when put in a position, I'm going to guarantee you that not just those of us in the military have this internal intestinal fortitude, but we all have it. Today, we're just going to focus on our women veterans, but trust me, there are many of you out there listening to us who have this intestinal fortitude that you may not even be aware of. So today, grab hold to some tools, get some information that will help you to grow and just develop into this wonderful, magnificent human being that I know you can be. And that just gives me this wonderful segue to my guest. My guest is a phenomenal woman. She is an individual who has a heart that I believe is big as or bigger than the United States of America. And her organization actually covers the entire United States of America for women veterans. And I'm going to introduce to you all today Miss Melissa A. Washington, the founder and CEO of Women Veterans Alliance. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stacy, for having me here.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Hey, you
Hey,
earned
so
that.
oh, thank you. Thank you. When I met Melissa, when I was at the unconference, that's when we actually physically met. I believe we came in contact with each other somehow via social media or something wonderful, whatever it was. And I am so impressed with how the organization, and I have a clip later on we'll listen to, but I am just like the lady who you were talking to. And I don't know, it could have been me that you were talking about. I When I came to your conference, I actually realized that I am a veteran and that I deserve everything that I earned. Not just, you look and you see, oh, the men, yes, they're veterans, but the women, we are veterans too. So, Melissa, I know you're a veteran. Just tell us a little bit about that part of the journey, being a veteran, and how you came to the, I'll say, understanding that you needed to do something different for us.
Absolutely. So, and again, thank you for inviting me on here. So I served the United States Navy, and I got out of the Navy, and then I married a Marine, which are, yes. So having been on active duty, then also as a veteran, and also as a military spouse. So I understand all of those different pieces. But we've been married now almost 30 years, so it's been a long time. So I've been a veteran a lot longer than I was on active duty. But one of the things too is when I got out of the Navy, I didn't consider myself a veteran. My dad's a veteran. He was in Vietnam, right? That's a veteran, World War II or veteran. I mean, and my dad is like the poster child for veterans. He wears his hat everywhere. You know, that's a veteran, right?
Right.
People always come up and thank him for his service, and it's very interesting too. Well, you know, my husband's a retired Marine, so he has that look too. So people always are going to assume he's, you know, the veteran, which he is. But it's interesting too, like even with my dad will, you know, because people will start talking to him, and then he'll say, "Oh, my daughter was in the Navy," you know, and they don't care. They'll just this has happened more than once. They just turn around and continue to talk to my dad.
Wow.
You know, they're just he's more intriguing, I guess. I don't, you know. So, but I don't let that bother me, but I like to share that because it's some things that truly do happen to us.
Right.
With that,
they come out and they call Mr.
Yes.
In the waiting room, you know, and it's
yes,
like, I'm not a Mr.
And they're working on that, you know, and they're, you know, the VA is trying to do, you know, better. And I know, you know, one of the VAs are addressing people as veteran, then their last name instead of saying Mr. or Mrs. So, but when I got out, you know, I went to use my GI Bill, of course, VA home loan, but nothing else. I didn't file a claim. You know, my dad and my husband kept saying, okay, you got to go to the VA, you got to get your VA health care. It's like, I don't need it. I don't need to do the claim. I'm fine. Just like many stories I hear from others today. But having started this, you're absolutely, I went to the VA and I got my VA healthcare and I got my disability claim, because if I'm going to preach it, I better practice it. So,
right.
Yes,
right.
I can't tell you, hey, you should go to the VA, get your healthcare if I'm not even registered, but I do go to, to the VA. So how this all started. So a little over 8 years ago, I was looking for an opportunity to network with other women veterans in more of a professional setting. I really wasn't interested in the traditional legacy organizations that are out there. And so I said I would, go ahead and just start my own. And Stacy, I just lost you, so I'm not sure. Hopefully I'm still on. You're still recording, but you're still there. Oh, you're on mute.
I went off camera because I want you to shine. This is your
thank
story.
You. All right. I just make sure I just wasn't talking.
If I ever disappear, just know that I am behind the camera.
All right. Well, good. Well, I'm gonna just keep on talking.
Okay. All
right. So back to what I was saying. So I was looking for opportunity to really, network with other women and not interested in the traditional legacy veteran organizations. So I live near Sacramento, and in January 2015, I got about 20 women veterans together at a local El Chorrito's restaurant. We, all branches of service, services, officer, enlisted. Most of the women that came did not know each other, and I always like to share like that evening. We're at El Chorrito's, and we had this we're at this long table, and we're sitting there, and we are laughing, we are crying. It was just, I still get goosebumps just thinking about that connectivity that was happening with these women who didn't know each other. But once you get other women that have served, there's a common thread we have, and we can be who we are, and I've had other women comment on, I feel like, they say when I come, I could take my mask off and I can be me of who I am, or, I don't have to explain myself. And that's the way we should be. And so women that night, that's the way that they felt. And so we agreed. We'd said, you know what, we're going to meet on the third Thursday of every month. And I was going to find a restaurant each time, find a speaker. And so it wasn't Women Veterans Alliance at the time. This was a hobby. This was a monthly meetup group. That's all this was. And then boom.
Sorry, I'm on mute.
It's okay.
I said, at least that's what you thought.
Yes, that's what I thought. I thought I did not have, this was not even thought about until, it didn't take long. I mean, it's like, because we were, and that's why I always tell people too, if you're looking to start a group, you got to be consistent. So it's like, It was the third Thursday of every month. I mean, we were there, wherever we were, getting a speaker, a restaurant, then it just continued to grow. And one of the things that we all agreed upon was that this is only for women veterans. And when I say women veterans, we're also encompassing the active duty Guard and Reserve ladies. So this wasn't for, a spouse, unless of course she had served, or, any of the other supporters. So July of that year, 2015, I started Mix and Mingles. And Mix and Mingles was for everyone. And we would do those every quarter. So that way you had opportunity to, mingle with others, and, opportunity to network and really, start to expand the network. And then it was that year, I think it was May, is when I started like the Facebook group, and then I had to come up with the name. So it's starting a business. Like, okay, now I got to get a website. Now I have to have email. Now it's like, I got to do these things. Do I make it a nonprofit? Do I make it a for-profit? Now I got to get a checking account. How am I going to make money to continue to do this? Do I continue to do what I'm doing? But by that time, I was already like fully jumped into this. I mean, I had no business plan, nothing. I was going with it because it was going so fast.
Right.
And then really recognizing that there is a need for women. There is a gap when it comes to women transitioning out of the military. And then, I mean, there's just so many things that I've been involved with these last years, 8 years, actually going on 9 next year, but of just being involved. And I really, for me to be the best that I am, I had to immerse myself. And I started this not for financial gain. I started this with my heart to serve. And I truly believe that God is using me to be able to utilize my gifts, to be able to help others.
Yes.
So sometimes things come out of my mouth. It may not be me. It's just being, I'm being used for that. But that is fine, because all the things that I've done, corporate America, everything else, have all been stepping stones for me to do successfully what I do today. And I truly love what I do. But if you want to love what you do, but you also have to figure out, okay, how can we make money for me to continue to do this?
Right, because it does take money. Everybody knows that it takes money to be effective.
Yes.
I won't use the word successful, but I'll say effective. And I'm so glad to hear the backstory, because to see it now, when at the point where I saw it, you thought I was a well-oiled machine all the time from day one, and not knowing that, and like most things, it's birthed out of a need. And I'm so glad that you were willing again to answer the call to fulfill a need. I don't think there's some greater jobs. I could probably think of one, and that person did that a long time ago on the cross. But to be a gap filler for human beings, and especially and you're so smart that you were able to pick your niche without even knowing you were picking your niche of women veterans, and giving us a space to feel safe. I'm not trying to rhyme or anything, but that is actually what I see is happening across the country, and I'm so glad about it that you were pricked in your heart to start this. I was going to ask you what provoked you to continue, and you answered it already, that from your heart you saw this need. And so would you suggest to someone who wants to start a women veterans organization as a business, what exactly is it that you learned that could help somebody else start a little smoother, just because you said
Yeah.
you didn't have a business plan and that kind of thing?
Yeah, and trust me, I made a bunch of oopses along the way. Some people saw, some people didn't see certain ones, but that's with anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is just figuring out,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And one of the things too is you mentioned the niche. So with mine, I knew that my audience was going to be women veterans, but also the niche. So when we look at women veterans, how am I going to serve them? Or and what is, we know, there can be needs when it comes to homelessness and MST, and career, and there's all these things. And then I realized pretty much early on I can't be all, right?
Right.
I've got to say, okay, who was now Women Veterans Alliance? Um, what are we going to be focusing on? Because I can't do it all. And granted, there's other organizations that do help in those spaces, which I know you know. Um, so, and I got to do what I'm good at. And I think too, that's another thing too, where when we're doing, whether nonprofit business, whatever we're doing in the community, if we can do something we're good at, it becomes even
Mm-hmm.
better. So my wheelhouse is, I've entrepreneur, I've been a business owner, I worked in human resources and recruiting. So all my focus was on the career space, the professional development, but also too, even though it had some indirect help with the other things that we do, which I strongly believe, if we can help women make sure that they have finance, right? They've got a job, or they however they're,
Mm-hmm.
whether they have a disability rating, however they're bringing in money, or also having a community. I feel we can prevent, and I feel I've helped prevent women from being homeless, from a woman wanting to kill herself. So if we can prevent all those things, it's, but I was always pigeonholed. It took me a while because people when I would say, and I had to stop, when I introduced myself, stop saying women veterans, because people automatically go to the homelessness or the other piece.
Mm-hmm.
So then
Mm-hmm.
they're already stereotyping, right? Of, okay, this is the population you serve. And then there's,
Right.
for a long time, there was, that negative narrative about veterans, and, whether we're disabled, you don't want to hire veterans because they'll, do this.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been all these things. So how can I utilize what I do and the people I know to utilize my platform to help women? So, and I always talk about too, when I'm talking, yes, I do
Mm-hmm.
share part of my story because I speak at a lot of, different events, or to groups, but I'm speaking as women veterans as a whole, right? And I
Right.
and I'm honored to do that, because when I do, if I'm gifted a certificate or something, yes, it's my name or Women Veterans Alliance, but it's for all of us. I mean, I'm out
Yes.
there speaking for all of us who raised our right hand to serve in the military.
And we need that. I have been in a few uh, women veteran groups through various VAs, because I've moved from the East Coast to the West Coast. In a couple weeks, I'm moving to I don't know if you call it the Mid Coast, but I'm moving to Texas. So,
Oh wow, okay. You're just going
yes,
different time zones.
right, right. So, but I've noticed that some of our veteran sisters, are not as ready to come out of the cocoon, so to speak. They don't know about some of the programs that are available to us and the resources that are available to us. And I'm thankful that your organization allows us to just click a button and say, "Oh, I didn't know I could get help here. I didn't know that I could get help, with daycare. I didn't know that I could get help with job training." And like you said, those things that you're offering are the prevention to the negative things that could happen to some veterans, like the homelessness part and the mental illness part. So, they need prevention before those things happen, because they don't just automatically start from day one when you get out of the military. Sometimes it starts prior to you getting out. And sometimes I say that the military is a blessing and a curse, because while you're in the military, you are told what to do, when to do it, what to wear, what to eat, where to eat, different things like that, how to pay your bills. Or if you're living on base, you may not have bills that need to be physically paid by you, but they still are represented in your paycheck. And so when we get out, I say sometimes somebody pulls the puppet strings out of the puppet and
Yeah.
the blocks go flying all over the place.
Oh
And
yeah.
so now we need the Melissa Washingtons in the world to come together and help us put those blocks back together. And again, I thank you for that. And I want to know if you can share with us some of the tools that you use to keep going, to keep wanting to push Women Veterans Alliance, like the
Absolutely.
discipline or something like that.
Yeah. Well, for me, and again, if I'm able to play to my strengths. I know my weaknesses, and trust me,
Mm-hmm.
it's always going in my head, right? We all have that, the imposter syndrome, all the other stuff, right? And all the negative thoughts we have in our head. But if I can play to my strengths, and one of those is I'm very organized. Um, that's just a trait that I have, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my tool is I have to have a calendar. So being a mom and a wife, I have an Outlook calendar, and everybody has a color.
Okay.
And so each person has a color. Then I have a color for the business. I have my own color to make sure my favorite color is purple. So I always each week got to make sure there's some purple on it, whether it's just my time for whether even if it's just the manicure pedicure or just physical exercise, prayer, those kinds of things. And then we have a color for family, doing the family things, because it's really important. And that makes it easier for me to see what I have going. And I just started probably like a few months ago is I don't do any meetings on Fridays anymore. I stopped meetings. I'll do some work, but I'm not here to answer the phone or to be on a Zoom on Fridays. So that
Good
way,
for you.
and it's been hard. I was like, no, I just have to, because I know once I say yes, right, then I just have to continue to say, no, I'm not available that day. These are my other times that I'm available. And that leads me to another thing is I get asked to be on boards, to do other things. And a lot of times I just have to say, I'm not able to make the time right now. And that's the honest truth. I mean, I think that's what we all need to be honest about. It's, no, I don't. You can't say, no, I don't have the time, because we all have 24 hours a day. It's, no, I can't make the time right now because I have all these other things.
Right.
And then, what may have been important to me 8 years ago when I started Women Veterans Alliance has changed, right? So I can be strategic, and how can I be more effective in what I do and what I have to let go, right? Let go, or what I delegate, or it's just not working. And I think that's, kind of been the ups and downs of this may work then, but now we got to move on. And, whether it's, we have the unconference, and I started Women and Veterans Engage conference, which we'll have again next year, then launching the 2 Women Veterans magazines, and we're working on a 3rd. So just really understanding and feeling the need. A lot of times too, people say, well, are you the in the boardroom type or boots on the ground? I like to be both. You can't be, to me, I honestly believe I can't be one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I want to be at the table, whether I have my own table or I'm sitting at someone else's table, to have a voice and make that decision. But how can I speak on that if I'm not on the ground knowing what's happening out there? So I feel I do very well at doing as much as I can both.
Right.
And I look at things, a lot of the veteran organizations too are, theirs is very locally focused. I'm very, nationally or globally focused. Yeah, I'm focused, I'm very prominent here in the Sacramento area. A lot of people know me, but I look, nationally, because then too, how can I look at partnerships? I don't want to create something. And you mentioned childcare. We've partnered with Foundation for Women Warriors in Southern California. That's one of their main niches, is providing stipends for childcare for women veterans to help, when they go to work or school. So I'm not going to create that program if it's already created. But how would I know that if I'm not out there? So I got to be out there. I do travel a lot. And we have the Small Business Award, which you're very familiar with, and I created that because being a small business owner, how many times could someone refinance their house or do this or that? Because then that's what I've done. So I can continue in the beginning to do what I do. So why not? Let's help other women veterans, infuse some cash into their business, and we'll continue to do that.
Exactly. And you all are doing a wonderful job. I mean, you touched on so many things just a few seconds ago, but I want to kind of pull out some things, and we're going to take a break. But when we come back, we need to jump into talking about, how can I say it? So much is going through my mind. Your wisdom that you are able to share with us, who, those of us who may want to start a brand new business. We need to be wise about how we go about it. We need to structure ourselves to make sure that, guess what? We want to be successful. We want to make it. We don't want to, get to the first 6 months and go, oh, this is too much. But you have said some stuff to us. You wrote down, I wrote down the word serve. This is a service. The mindset that you have regarding what some may see as a business, I believe you see it from a servant's heart, that you are serving individual veteran women who have a need. And there's a lot of them out there, a lot of us out here. Let me put it that way. There's 2 million. And I want you to tap in, tell us a little bit when we come back on your broad spectrum of reaching them. You started it a little bit, but when we come back, I really want to hear more about reaching out to the masses. We'll be right back.
Or see the positive things that happen when you're at war. So, very humbling experience.
Thank you for your service, by the way, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
You bet. And that really kind of is a reminder to us of how many women who have served in the military that don't consider themselves veterans.
Absolutely.
That just blows my mind, because to me, you would think that they would understand that being in the military gives them certain rights that they don't access. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm assuming that's one of the reasons you started this organization. Is that right?
Absolutely. Is getting women together that have served. We all have a common thread, regardless of what branch you served in, officer, enlisted. We all raised our right hand, and we all have a lot of common experiences. And that was one of the reasons it started, and that's one of the reasons also why it's been such a success it has been.
So you started what?
And we're back just like that. And I'm so happy I was able to find that clip, and it ended with you started when? Because I don't think you gave us a start date. You talked about 2015. Was it 2015
Yeah.
when? Okay.
January
20,
2015.
all right. What a way to kick off the first month of the year and still going strong. And tell us now about equipping 2 million women veterans, because there's a lot of us out here who we need equipping. Or do you have cell groups, or how does it work?
Absolutely. So with that, when I first started, I had a chapter model. So we had a Sacramento chapter, and then the Sacramento grew, and then we split off into another chapter, and then we had chapters in other states. So um, that changed. So one of the ways we do that is we have on our website an allies directory, and this directory consists of organizations that predominantly serve women veterans. So there are a lot of other women veteran groups out there, and when I say groups, it could be just a Facebook group, it could be a Facebook page, it could be their community group, to a nonprofit. So there's all these groups that are out there that are serving. So that's why we created the allies directory, because there's not a directory that has that. So we can connect women with these other organizations that are out there. So we're continually, we'll find other groups and invite them to be on the directory, and it helps promote them as well. And that's definitely helping the reach to get to women. And on your clip that you shared on the break, it is still very true. A lot of women don't consider themselves veterans. It's, and I come across it more often than not. And that's why I always ask. I ask if you served in the military. I even have it on my business card. That's what it says. Have you served? Because more than likely she'll say yes, she did serve, but then she doesn't consider herself a veteran. So then she's not utilizing her benefits, right? And that goes into the whole, that's the whole equipping and empowering, right? So if you equip them with the right knowledge, and then empower them to say, okay. And also too, a big thing is, and we know that there's so many benefits. There are things, I know a lot, trust me, I know a lot, but there's things I don't know yet, but more than likely, I might, because sometimes, someone may reach out to us via email or contact us on the website, and they're asking. So then I'm going to look for that information so I can find out more to give them the right information. But a key thing, which I do very well, is we need to meet her where she's at. Okay. So if she's 25, she's got no kids, why am I going to talk to her about her kids going to college right now? Right. So, if we think about those things, right, and there's just different stages of life, whether in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and where you're at in your life. I'm over 50, homeowner, menopause. So for me to talk to somebody when they're 30s about menopause, or getting utilizing the VA for hormonal treatment, or why am I going to talk to somebody in their 70s about the VA does offer, OB services, and people don't know about that. So there's all these things. And that's why I like when I start to, have conversations with people, I'm asking a lot of questions. So then I can make sure that I'm sharing that. I love when someone says, oh, I have a kid in high school. I'm like, well, here in the state of California, there's a college fee waiver. And I said, well, did you know your kid can go to school for free and save you $30,000, $40,000 a year? Right. So it's just, if we can meet him or her where she's at, and also too, including the spouse, and that's so important as well. And then the reach, right? So people, just going back to your question about the 2 million, it's like the more we can get out there and talk. And one of the things which we just announced last month is the TAPS program, which any person that served in the military is very aware of, the transition assistance program that's provided by the different branches of service. They've made some great strides in the last several years, even introducing what's called the Skill Bridge program. And there's all these other programs. But one of the things that they'd started was a pilot program. It's Employment Navigator. pilot program, which is actually no longer a pilot. It's actually now a program where you have these employment navigators that sit on different bases globally that help our transitioning members and their families.
Mm-hmm.
So there's resources out there, but how are those employment navigators, how are they getting the information to be able to give to women? So I'll go back, I don't know, probably 6 years ago or something. I reached out directly to the Department of Labor. I said, how can I get Women Veterans Alliance to be shared in TAPS class? Because, right, if we can fix, to me, that's the root of these other things that happen, right? So she's not informed. She's getting all this information, but it's not applying to her. So she's getting out, and then all these other things happen. Well, why not help? But it's with dealing with the federal government, state government. It's a lot of the stuff. It can be difficult. So that kind of just fizzed out. And then I saw about this employment navigator program over a year ago. I'm like, we need to be there. We need to be on that. So I applied through the Department of Labor, and they have the VETS program. And I had they have a very lengthy vetting process. So literally like last year, end of this year, I had like about a 2-hour interview with them after I completed my application.
Okay.
I went through the process. Yes. And
dedicated.
What's that?
You're dedicated. A lot of people wouldn't have gone through that process.
No, because I know what this is going to mean for our 20,000 plus women that transition out of the military every year. So, a few months ago, they said, you are now, there's now 54 veteran organizations. There had already been another group, and then they added another, I think 8, which we were part of. So last month, they announced Women Veterans Alliance is part of the 54 vetted organizations that are going to be shared there. So what that means is we have a 1-page flyer that the Department of Labor put together for us. So she'll get a flyer. We should be in the presentation. And then these employer navigators that sit globally, they know, okay, if I get a woman in, I'm going to share Women Veterans Alliance with her.
Yes.
You want to know how powerful this is going to be?
Yes, I'm thinking, wow.
Yes.
The impact.
And to me, it's like, why did this take so long? I mean, yeah, you can refer to these other organizations. They're great organizations, and some of them we're already partners with. But if we can funnel her in to our organization, and maybe she just wants to get on an email list. Maybe she just wants to follow us on social media. Maybe she wants to set up a call. That's fine. Maybe she doesn't need us when she gets out today. Maybe 2 years from now, she flips through her folder and like, oh my gosh, here's that Women Veterans Alliance. I need to reach out to them. Right.
Yes.
So it's not stuff someone's going to forget in TAPS. They actually have this information.
Right.
And we, we're getting ready to go live. So I'm bracing for what that looks like. And one of the great things they allowed us to do is have a call globally with the employment navigator. So I was able to present Women Veterans Alliance to all these others so they could understand more about what we do to be able to communicate that to those women transitioning. I said, we do help veterans, spouses. I mean, I'm a military spouse, but my primary focus is serving our women veterans. So that's huge.
That is. I want to say it's bigger than huge, but that's because that goes back to what you said earlier about, are you someone who's in the corporate office, or are you someone who's boots on the ground? And because you're both, you're able to put your ear to the ground and kind of sort of get the vibration of the needs that are happening out there. And it is a huge need for a woman veteran, for anyone for that matter, but for a woman veteran who is transitioning, and maybe like myself, when I was transitioning out, getting out because of a disability, I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm getting ready to do with my life. I have been doing the same thing for the last 18 years and thought that I would be doing it for at least another 2, but then it abruptly ended. And so somebody in that position will look at you all as a gold mine, because if I had known at, my late 30s about a Women Veterans Alliance, some things probably would have gone different. I would not have struggled so much just to even have a network, have a shoulder to lean on, of somebody who understands what I'm going through, because there's no one like us out there, actually.
No, no, we are
we
not
are
like most. No, and
no,
I
we are yeah, we are a very special group. And can you tell us how so when you run into someone who is really not wanting to connect, or think that they don't need to connect, how do you get to them? How do you reach them, not just from an email standpoint or something like that, but why do you think people will walk up to you and say, "Hey, I didn't even realize I was a veteran until I met you"?
a lot of that happens. A lot of times it's their spouse or partner or parent will tell them, or one time a long while ago, I got a call from a realtor who was helping a woman veteran purchase a house, and she kept telling him, "I'm not a veteran. I was in the military, but I didn't deploy," thing. And so he's like, "Can you talk to her?" I'm like, "Absolutely."
Yes.
Life changing for her,
Oh,
right?
I'm sure.
You talk
I'm
about
sure.
changing someone's life. She didn't have to, because she didn't have to worry about putting a down payment. There's all these things, right, that happen. And then, and to me, it's helping women build wealth. I mean, there's so many things that does, but just think of that. There's so many other things we have as women veterans that are earned benefits that we have. And of course, it's not like it's out there on the billboard, like, okay, here's all your benefits.
Right.
And then just a lot of times it's hard sometimes to get through people, but probably one of the biggest people it's hard for me to get through. Well, they know they're veterans, but they don't want to take the benefits, or the Vietnam vets. I mean, you got a lot of these guys that are like, "No, I can't take from anybody." And I get women now will do that too. Or like, it's not about that. I had one guy. It took me 2 years for him to finally. He was a Navy Vietnam vet. Was over in Vietnam. He's like, I don't need this. I can't take away from my, I'm like, "You're not." And I said, "Every time you see me, I'm going to ask you."
Yes.
So it was probably maybe about 2 or 3 years. I got a text from him, and it was in November. And he said he got his rating, he got the back pay, and he said that getting that rating, his wife was able to retire.
See, life changing for the better.
Right? But it's a mindset. It's a mindset, right?
Yes, for sure.
We have to be able to talk to someone. A lot of times it's easier for veterans to talk to veterans, or women veterans to talk, I mean, that's a great example of that, how your life just changed because you took the time to complete paperwork, or you went to your veteran service office and started your claim process. You went through the process.
Right.
And I've done that myself. I've gone through the process, and I understand what that process is.
Right.
And it's interesting too, because I've talked to, since we're talking about this, other, organizations that help veterans, with their claims, their disability claims, ratings, people call it different things. And they've told me they'll be the husband and the wife sitting in there, and they're both vets, but she says she doesn't need it because he's getting it. Let me tell you, sister, you need to get it too.
Yes.
Because, right, again, it's a mindset. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could be there at all these times that this happens, because what if he dies? What if he goes? I mean, you don't know. You need to make sure you're taken care of with your benefits, just like me. Yeah, I've been married 30 years, and we've got TRICARE. But I need to make sure I'm taken care of. I got VA health care for my life, and I've got my disability rating. Me.
Right, exactly. And
it's not selfish.
It's and I was gonna say that it is a shame when I can reflect back on the days of being in the military where they made it taboo for you to want to go to the doctor or be treated for something that you may be having at that moment, or you may have injured yourself, and it's like, you can't go on sick call because you're broken. And that mentality, that's what I'm talking about, the curse and the blessing. The mentality rolls over to when we're not even in the military anymore. And I always have to say to people, myself, that while you were in, they got everything out of you that they wanted. And now that we get out and we find these things happening, especially as we get older, we have to say, wait a minute, now I have to go back because I gave everything. I have to go back and get everything that we have earned. And it's not a matter of, well, I don't think I deserve it because I wasn't this rank or that rank, or I didn't do this, I didn't get a Purple Heart, or things like that. But we earned it because we still served.
Absolutely. And and you bring up a great point too about all these things that have happened to us. We didn't want to go to sick call, or we did, or they're documented. And that's why too, when I talk to a lot of people too, it's getting your disability rating. Yeah, you might be fine, but there might be things that happened to you in the military that's messing you up right now. I mean, look at the PACT Act. Look at that finally got passed. I mean, look at people having stuff from the burn pits. Oh, I feel fine. But guess what? When some things start happening, guess what? That stemmed from you volunteering to serve your country. Yes. And it's a shame that we have to fight for our benefits. So many civilians, which I have to school them. No, it's just not automatic. We don't just check a box and then it all comes, to us. No, we have to fight for our benefits. And if we don't fight, then we don't get the benefits. If we don't use the VA, then why would Congress continue to pass money for women to use the VA? Why would they say, okay, we need, VA says we need mammogram machines, but if no women are going there to get their mammograms, which women, veterans are have a higher risk of breast cancer than our civilian counterparts because all the crap that we are exposed to. So, getting those mammograms, I mean, I'm getting there, my boobs once a year. I'm in there making sure that's done because you never know what it is. And again, we have to take care of ourselves.
Right. And I'm with you. I'm there actually more than yearly. They made me come back every 3 months for a little while. And then I had to go back every 6 months. And I finally made it going back to a year now. But because I choose to utilize the services that are there for me, and I'm saying this to you all out there who are listening, please utilize the services that are out there for you. As Melissa alluded to, if no women go to get the mammogram, they're going to take it away. Or have a part-time, not maybe not a daily service. So let's go in and utilize every benefit that is here for us. So we're going to take another break, but when we come back, Melissa, tell us about things that you have up and coming, because people may want to join, and tell us that too. How can we join? And we'll be right back.
I'm Stacy Bullock, and I'm committed to waking your power to bounce back quickly from life's challenges. I've learned there is power in resilience. There was a point in my life when I closely identified with the Sade song, Soldier of Love. Mostly what I identified with was the part that says, I've lost the use of my heart, but I'm still alive. Doubt, disappointment, rejection, it left a stain on my soul. But that's the place where our determination lives. And that's the place where we have to dig in and find resilience so that we can bounce back. I have taken all of that disappointment and despair, and now I use it as a catalyst. It has become my energy to fight to become a better, a stronger human being every day. Why do I do this? 2 reasons. So I can help you understand that you can become better, and then you can become stronger, and then you can survive any situation. The second reason is because I was born to do it. I am a transformational speaker who can help you know that there is power after pain.
Every day, living tools for every day, living tools for every day, living every day, living tools for every day, living tools for every day,
And just like that, we're back. And we want to hear, what is Women Veterans Alliance up and coming events? How can someone join? Just give us all the goodies.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what we have coming up, and we also too, I do a lot of speaking, and then we also are exhibiting, but this will be our first time. Will be the first week in January is the Student Veterans of America. It's their annual convention in Nashville. So if anyone here is going to be there in Nashville, definitely stop by our table, as we will be there. We also, April 27th is our Women Veterans Engage Conference. It's going to be our 3rd one. And this is a very unique event that takes place at multiple locations throughout the U.S. So women will be there in person and watching the speakers, and women can also watch online. So you can go to womenveteransengage.com to find out more information about that event. Also too, if you are a woman veteran and you were from Pennsylvania, live in Pennsylvania, stationed in Pennsylvania, we are currently working on the Women Veterans Pennsylvania magazine. And definitely go to womenveteransmagazine.com to submit photos. We're looking for articles, all kinds of information. And also too, to go back to the Women Veterans Engage, we do have our call for speakers that is open until January 14th. I mean, we're very excited. We are hoping to reach over 1,000+ women on one day at this conference. The Women's Memorial in Washington, D.C. is one of the site locations, and we have multiple locations throughout the U.S. Also, too, if someone's interested in being a host location, definitely reach out to me. You don't have to be a woman veterans organization to partner, as I firmly believe in collaboration. Also, too, we have a very thorough website. As I mentioned, our allies directory. We have a women veteran-owned business directory on there. There's all kinds of directories, resources. We have a store that has different products on there. Also, too, you can become a member. We have 3 different levels for membership: a core, business, and lifetime. And also, too, we have membership for patriotic supporters. So you don't have to be a woman veteran to be a member. So we have different membership types for whether it's an individual or a business. They can become partners, as we feel it's definitely important to include all. And a lot of times too, if you're a business out there and you want to know how you can get more involved, to reach out to me. And we're on all social media platforms, as well as YouTube. And there's all kinds of things I'm working on, hopefully slowing down. I know I said I'm gonna slow down for the last 2 weeks of December, but yeah, we'll see how that works, because then my mind starts going and thinking of all these other things that we can do.
Well, that just shows that, you are a great visionary. You have a way of seeing the needs that must be met, that most people aren't looking at. Most people aren't thinking about, how can I equip women veterans, or equip anyone for that matter, and not just in your city, but across the country. And there may be some women veterans who have moved abroad, but still need some type of connection. And just because your social media platforms, your YouTube platform, these things are giving us the benefit to reach the masses. I mean, there are people who will be watching this show and thinking, well, I live over here across seas, but the reason why I live here is because I married somebody who lives here, but I'm a veteran who, met somebody in Germany and
Yeah.
decided to stay in Germany. But we still need that connection as a woman veteran. And I'm so thankful that you all are here for that purpose. You're here for us to reach out and feel like we have a place, a space in this world. And that's what you made me feel like when I came to your organization, that you gave me a space that I didn't even realize, first of all, that I needed. Second of all, I didn't realize that it was available to me. So I'm glad to be able to share with a lot of people watching, that you all are here to help and to serve us women veterans. And is there anything you'd like to leave the people with before we take off for this episode?
I know it
So
goes by
fast.
so fast. I know I could go on another probably hour, 2 hours. Now, one of the things, and I always have to remind myself too, and I always like to, is you miss 100% of the shots you never take. So if I didn't take them, it's like, okay, so we got to take the shots. We got to be like, okay, I got to make that call, or I got to introduce myself to that person, or I'm gonna do this, or just do it. Because I get imposter syndrome too. People think, oh no, trust me, I do. I'm like, oh, but I'm gonna take that shot.
I thank you, Melissa. Those are great words of encouragement. And I understand wholeheartedly, because even to come on and be the host of this show, sometimes I'm like, huh, what are you doing, girl? What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I get up to speak to audiences, but as soon as we step into exactly who we are, that all that stuff goes away. So connect with Women Veterans Alliance if you're a woman veteran, even if you're not a woman veteran, if you just want to participate and you want to support. I know that it is a worthy organization. And we thank you again, Melissa, so much for joining us. And we'll see you all next Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Tools for Everyday Living. Join us every Friday.
Have you found yourself wondering, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Recognizing the stranger in the mirror is the book for you. It helps us to unravel the mystery of who you really are, revealing your life's passion and why you should unveil the real you to the world. We need you. You are valuable and necessary for those who are connected to you. Do not be afraid to peek in and discover all your gifts and talents to share. It's real freedom when we reveal our authenticity. Stacey Bullock is a 2-time best-selling author, transformational speaker, and host of Tools for Everyday Living TV show. She is committed to igniting resilience, personal transformation, and building life skills of her audiences and clients. The author of 2 previously written self-help books, Beaten Oil and Regain Power Through Resilience. Don't let your brain go numb. Stacey imparts lessons that teaches readers to utilize their light as a guide for others, and discovering inner strength and resiliency to bounce back when life throws curveballs. Stacey may be reached for speaking engagements, leadership and employee training, and life skills coaching via her email at stacey@powerandresilience.com.